Is there anything you discovered through your work in physics that changed your day-to-day behavior and life? How you treat people, how you show up, what you think matters?
No, but the one thing that did change my attitude toward life, other people, was being in the Army. Yeah, that was a game changer that changed everything I knew, or which I thought I knew. Before then, I was single-mindedly focused on physics, just physics, do physics well. That was my life. But after seeing warfare up close, I began to realize there's more to life than warfare.
I think I asked this in part because last time I spoke to a physicist and he talked to me about how the nature of reality is not what I think it is, and that there's multiple, dimensions, and that I'm only seeing a fraction of what is real, which I think all physicists agree upon. It sounds a bit like a conspiracy theory or something, but actually, logically, it makes a lot of sense to only see what you need to see to survive.
That's right. What you see, your conception of the three-dimensional world is only the tiniest sliver of actually exists.
And when I heard that, it made me open-minded to a lot of the things I thought were conspiracy nonsense. It made me open-minded to ghosts. Maybe ghosts are real.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, maybe another dimension where there's spirits that can see me, but I can't see them.
Well, there could be other such dimensions. That's within the realm of possibility.
What do you think happens when we die? Do you think that's it? Or do you think there's a possibility that there's ghosts and that our soul goes somewhere?
I don't see it happening because your brain, your personality, your thoughts are electrical. And when you die, the electricity turns off. There's nothing propelling thinking anymore. Thinking requires a lot of energy. Even ghosts, if ghosts exist, they would still require a lot of energy to keep the thoughts going. But that's why I don't believe in ghosts, because I don't see an energy source that propels the ghosts.
People talk a lot about spirituality. They talk about, things like chakras, and a lot of spiritual people talk about vibrations. It's a phrase that I often hear in the spiritual communities. Do you believe in anything like that in terms of humans having energies and being able to feel each other's energies?
Well, I think that if a person emanates a certain aura or a vibe, that doesn't necessarily mean they're radiating something.
But is there any physics behind that idea?
I think it's psychological, that you are tuned into a certain personality, a certain way of movement. I think it's psychological rather than physical.
What is something you believe that you haven't proven?
Well, there's a lot of things that haven't been proven. All I can say is maybe, maybe not, like flying saucers. I don't say they don't exist or they exist. I say maybe. I just haven't seen concrete evidence for them, that's all. So there's a lot of things that I'm not going to definitely say no, like ghosts. I don't think there are ghosts, but I can't prove it. Maybe there is some afterlife of some sort, but it does go against what is measurable. We've seen no measurement of somebody that's been able to pick up vibrations from a ghost.
How would you like to be remembered? Someday, long after you're gone, do you care about being remembered? Do you care about legacy?
Well, I care about leading a good life that I feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And if your books and your teachings and your lectures, if they live on beyond you, that's a bonus. It means that you had an impact. It means you touched people. You touched people's lives with ideas. And when I go down the street, quite a few people come up to me and they say, I saw you on this show. I saw you on that show. And that gives me a nice feeling. Of course, after I'm gone, there's nothing to feel. But when you're still alive, it gives you a nice feeling. Know that you've had an impact. Knowing that you've changed somebody's life. Several people have come up to me and said, I became a physicist because of you. So that's a nice way to view reality, that you touch people.
Is there anything that you used to think was a conspiracy theory that you now know to be true?
Well, I like to debunk. So as soon as someone says something outlandish, I say to myself, sure.
But that's what I mean. Like you're a debunker. So at some stage in your life, you must have had the experience of thinking something can't be true and being proven wrong.
Usually when I make predictions, they come out to be true. Maybe the timeline is a little bit exaggerated. but they turn out to be true. So I haven't made any predictions or observations that were later shown to be false.
What predictions are you making now then about the nature of reality in the future?
Well, I talk about the nature of string theory in the future, whether or not we really will have a theory of everything. Flying saucers, I talk about the fact that even though we have no evidence today, there's a mountain of these things being declassified now. Maybe we'll pick up shreds of evidence.
Did you look at the declassified information that Trump released on UFOs?
Yeah, I've looked at the whole batch, 160 or so sightings.
Was there anything in there that was compelling to you?
No, just lights dancing in the sky without any commentary, so you don't know what they are. But they could be extraterrestrial. But you see, these things are two-dimensional. They're taken by a camera, which flattens the image. Therefore, to judge distance is very tricky.
Do you believe that you're looking at extraterrestrial life forms when you watch these videos of UFOs?
I'm open to the idea. I don't think there's any smoking gun yet, but I'm open to the idea that these are extraterrestrial.
You see some of them going up and then down and then into the ocean and coming back up again. When you watch that, do you think these are aliens, or do you just think it's people that have misunderstood what they're looking at?
I leave open the probability that it could be one or the other. There's no aha moment where I say that it's nothing but reflection, it's nothing but an optical illusion. There's no aha moment.
If you had to bet everything you love and cherish on either side of the fence that non-human life had made contact with the Earth at some point in some form or not, which side would you place everything you love and care about on? Yes, aliens have made contact with this Earth in some form, or no?
Well, I would have to say I don't know.
If you had
I know it's a cop-out.
No, but if everything was on the line, one would have to move yet to yes or no. And I would personally probably say probably no. If you made me bet everything,
I'd say maybe yes.
You'd say yes.
But no. Maybe yes. Very important, the word maybe. I'm a scientist, and somebody's going to use that against me by saying, you said on television that this and this is true. No, I said maybe. That doesn't mean it actually is true. It just means I opened the possibility that it's true.
But if you were held at gunpoint, Doctor, and at gunpoint they said, right, you've got to say yes or no, and if you're right or wrong, that determines your fate.
I would have to say maybe. I know what you're getting at. You want to corner the fox, right? Yeah,
to some degree, yeah. I'm trying to corner the fox. But I'm doing it to understand where your intuition or your bias lands, because
I see there's not enough conclusive evidence. There's no aha moment. I do see a lot of maybes.
A lot of maybes. Yeah, I think that's probably the intellectually honest answer is maybe. But if I was forced to fall on one side of the fence, I'd probably say no, because I don't have enough conviction to say yes. I see no evidence to say yes, other than some sightings of some things. But I'm open-minded. Maybe it'll change. Doctor, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who they're leaving it for. And the question left for you in my diary is, what is the best strategy to deal with failure?
I think the best strategy to deal with failure is try it again. I think on the first try, you're bound to make mistakes because it's a learning curve. And that learning curve is instructive. It teaches you. It teaches you to try it again, but make a slight change. Make a slight change and hope that change is in the right direction. If not, make another change and see whether that puts you in the right direction.
If you could go back to when you were that 7-year-old kid that was just getting into physics. And
8-year-old. Yeah.
8-year-old. And give him any advice that would best serve him for the next 70 years, what advice would you have given him?
I'd say carry on. I've made a lot of decisions that I feel good about, decisions that made me a better person. For example, when I went into the Army, at that point, I thought, what could be worse than facing death on the battlefield to die on some unnamed hill in some unnamed land? And then I began to realize, well, yeah, that's a possibility, but there's another possibility that you may survive, that you may learn from that experience. If you're not here to learn, Okay, so be it. But if you are here to learn, you gain wisdom by being in the military. And that, I think, is a positive thing.
We were talking about UFOs and alien life at the start of this conversation. And one of the questions that's adjacent to it is, if alien life were to come here at some point, do you think they would have empathy for us? Or do you think that's potentially a human trait? Do you think they, because in the movies, they attack us?
Well, if I were to shoot in the dark, I'd say, first of all, they're robotic. They're not organic at all.
Really?
Because they exhibit maneuvers that would crush the bones of any living creature that we know of. These flying saucers can zigzag. They can dive from 70,000 feet all the way down. They can dive underwater. These require skills and tensions and vibrations that would crack any known U.S. device in half. And there they are, executing these things. Either they're fake or they're extraterrestrial. So I think that they have a technology that we can only dream of.
So when we're looking at these UAP images and videos, if they are to be real, then you're saying there's no life in them at all, and it's actually just machine intelligence?
That's right. In fact, that's probably one reason why they don't come out and greet us like in the movies. In the movies, they always come out and say, "Hello, Earth man." No, I personally think they're robotic.
This question of empathy, do you posit that they might be empathetic? Do you posit they would want to destroy us? I mean, what would...
Will they destroy us or will they want to? The answer, I think, is no, because they could have done it years ago. You realize that if you go back, even the Bible makes reference to a UFO. If you take a look at Ezekiel, Ezekiel saw the wheel in the sky. And some people say that was no wheel, that was a UFO. So who knows for sure? But if the aliens really wanted to destroy us, they could have done it years ago. They don't have to wait. But if you go to a zoo, even if the zoo is lifelike to the point where the animals themselves don't even know they're in a zoo, it's peaceful. That you can observe them without necessarily revealing your presence. And in that sense, it could be like living in a zoo. Not that they want to gawk at us and laugh at us, but just observe us.
So you think that they won't want to destroy us, which is comforting to hear.
I think if they had the chance to destroy us and they wanted to, they could have done it decades ago. But here we are.
It's an interesting idea. When you talked about this extraterrestrial life potentially being robotic, it kind of makes sense to me, because we're on a course to create humanoid robots and robots that I was actually watching this morning, there's a video that one of these humanoid robot companies is streaming, and they're streaming a humanoid robot working on a production line for 4 hours straight so everybody can watch. And all it's doing is sorting packages out. But it's been going for 4 days straight. And if you play this forward, you go, this robot can go walk across the office and it can charge itself back up once it runs out of battery. And then they show it going back to work again. When I say play it forward, I mean, imagine this technology continues to improve on the trajectory it's on. The battery technology gets better, the intelligence gets better. And then, theoretically, this robot will be able to build a spaceship, theoretically, and travel into the universe, theoretically, at some point. If you imagine any rate of improvement. So it's theoretical that, okay, humans might not be able to survive the crushing forces of that speed, but a robot could.
My personal attitude is that we should eventually merge with them.
Merge with the robots.
That's right. That's my personal feeling, because people talk about whether they're good, whether they're bad, so on and so forth. Well, the bottom line is they're going to become more powerful. And not now, but who knows, maybe in the next century, they'll begin to make reasonable choices. They'll reason. They'll plot future histories. And at that point, they could be potentially dangerous. So what do? Either we become super powerful and meet the challenge, or we merge with them.
When you say merge with them, what do you mean?
Become like that, become part robotic ourselves, become superhuman.
As in, when we're born as kids, maybe we have an implant and it turns us into a robot, or?
Yeah, in other words, we are still looking the same, except we have superhuman abilities, and our brain is connected either directly or by remote control to a central nervous system that does the calculations and performs these calculations much better than we can, and we become superhuman.
This is the video that I'm talking about. This is actually a live video So this is live as we're watching. What they've got is they've got a human being here who's sorting the packages, and they've got the humanoid robot here,
Right.
and they're just counting how many packages each of them can sort. And this robot has been doing this for 4 days straight.
Yeah.
Anyway, you play this forward, and it asks a big question about the future of humanity when there's humanoid robots that...
Well, I think menial jobs will go out the window like this. Jobs that are repetitive, jobs that just require your arms and legs, those jobs will be gradually phased out. And new jobs will open up. New jobs that require thinking, human relations, organizing, directing other people. Robots can't do any of that stuff. Robots simply do what they're told to do, repetitively. Okay? We make decisions. We know how to interface with other things. We plot. We plan. Robots can't do that. Now, that doesn't mean they can't eventually, but it just means that the next step beyond this will be robots that can do a little bit of mental work. And it means that we have to retrain the workforce so that they can become masters of the robots. In other words, we are masters of tools, hammers, saws, whatever. We're the master of them. They're not the master of us. Okay? We tell the hammer and the chisel what to do because we lord over them.
Have you used AI agents before?
I've used AI before, but not necessarily. Which agent are you talking about?
So I've got on my phone, I can say, I need a new umbrella for my patio outside my house.
Yeah.
And it'll go on the internet, it'll look at the prices, it'll look at everything.
Yeah, well, I can just type on the computer screen a question, and the computer will come up with an answer.
But you were talking about planning there. So I was saying that the agent basically makes a plan, and then it could spend an hour executing that plan.
Oh, you mean not just coming up with the plan, but actually executing the plan?
Yeah. It can do both. But I'm just saying, you were talking about how humans have this, this ability to make decisions. I'm saying that the AI agent is making decisions like a human would.
No, you tell it what to do. The computer is probably programmed to look for a reference, like an encyclopedia, a handbook, the internet. In other words, if you say, I want to know the best car, it'll carry that out by looking at the internet, going through different cars. It doesn't need you to tell it that. But if you were to ask something more complicated, go to the supermarket and buy me some eggs. No robot can do that.
Have you been to LA? Because if you're in LA, there's all these robots just strolling around the streets delivering food. They deliver food in LA.
Oh, yeah, but that's just crawling on a sidewalk.
That's what humans do.
I thought you meant driving a car and going up the stairs and whatever. That's just going on a sidewalk.
Which is what a human does. If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.